Everyone thinks Maine's real estate market is about to burst. But what if I told you the data shows the exact opposite? With inventory still at half the level needed for a balanced market and 84,000 new homes required by 2030, we're witnessing a fundamental reshaping of Maine's housing landscape, not a crash. The shocking truth, while some property segments are seeing price drops despite the shortage, others are experiencing unprecedented growth that most buyers completely miss. I've uncovered 3 specific towns where building permits are surging, creating rare opportunities that won't last. And the smart money is already moving in. Maine's housing shortage isn't just some headline you're seeing. It's literally reshaping our entire market in ways that will affect every buyer and seller. And trust me, the numbers are even more dramatic than most people realize. According to the 2023 State of Maine Housing Production Needs Study, we need approximately 84,000 additional homes by 2030, and that's not a typo, 84,000. And we need to do it in 5 years. That's wild when you think about it. Right now, only 2% of homes are vacant and available statewide. A healthy balanced market should have at least 5% for context. That means if you're house hunting, you're competing with a bunch of other buyers for almost every decent property out there. There's some good news though. Maine Housing completed 775 affordable units in 2024, with an additional 1,005 currently under construction. They're also expecting 727 more units to be finished this year. That's definitely progress, but even at this faster pace, we're still falling really short of what we need. Construction employment in Maine grew by 7.3% in 2024, which is super positive because it means we're adding capacity to build more homes. But here's the thing, even with this growth, we're nowhere near building enough homes for all the people who want to live here. So what's slowing down construction? There are 3 major barriers I keep seeing. First, material and labor costs are still super high. Second, tons of communities have very restrictive zoning rules that limit housing density. And third, the approval process for new developments can be increasingly time-consuming and honestly kind of a nightmare. I wanted to quickly mention something. If you're finding this breakdown of Maine's housing market helpful, I'd love for you to hit the subscribe button. I release videos breaking down neighborhoods, market trends, and insider tips that you just can't find on those big national real estate sites. And unlike those sites, I'm right here in Maine, experiencing this market firsthand, helping buyers and sellers navigate these exact challenges we're discussing. So if you're thinking about making a move anywhere in Greater Portland or Southern Maine, subscribing is like having a local expert in your back pocket. All right, now let's talk about these price trends because what's happening is not what most people think. What we're seeing instead is something that could benefit both buyers and sellers. The latest data from March 2025 shows Maine's median home price around $376,000 to $381,000 statewide. That's pretty significant because after years of craziness, we're finally seeing prices level off. Cumberland County, which includes Portland, has a median price of $548,000, but that's only up 1.1% from last year. This is a dramatic slowdown from the double-digit jumps we saw in previous years. What we're experiencing in this market is catching its breath after an incredible run. Let's put this in context. From 2020 to 2024, the median home prices in Maine rose by more than 50%. During that same period, wages only increased by less than 33%. The disconnect this created was a serious affordability crisis that we're still dealing with today, which is actually driving the first-time homebuyer strategy, but we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. What we're seeing now is price stabilization, not a crash. In fact, in 2025, the median sales price decreased slightly 0.98% from the previous year in March. And that's not a crash, it's a minor adjustment that's creating a healthier market for everyone. One factor keeping inventory tight is what economists are calling the lock-in effect. A lot of homeowners secured these amazing mortgage rates at 2 to 3% in 2020 to 2021. Now, the rates are higher. These homeowners are just staying put. They don't want to sell and take on a new mortgage at today's rates. Single-family homes in the $400,000 to $650,000 range are still seeing strong demand and price stability. But the luxury properties over $1 million are actually experiencing longer market times and some price reductions, especially in more rural areas. The difference between asking price and final sales price tells us something important about where the market is headed. In Portland, the average list to sale price ratio is still around 98 to 99%, meaning most sellers are getting close to their asking price. But in some outlying areas, this has dropped to 94 to 95%, indicating buyers have more negotiating power than in prior years. Speaking of market shifts, let's talk about who's buying homes in Maine right now because the profile has completely changed. The profile of who's buying in Maine has completely transformed in the last few years. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, understanding these new buyer types could be the difference between success and frustration. Remote workers continue to move to Maine for our lifestyle and relative affordability, compared to other major metros like Boston and New York. This trend absolutely exploded during the pandemic, and contrary to what some predicted, it hasn't reversed. These buyers are often looking for larger homes with dedicated office space and strong internet connectivity. They tend to prioritize quality of life amenities like outdoor recreation access, walkable communities, and good food. And honestly, who can blame them? Retirees make up another significant portion of buyers, often coming with substantial equity from selling homes in more expensive markets. What's interesting about this group is they are not just looking at traditional retirement communities. Many are choosing vibrant, mixed-age neighborhoods where they can be active and engaged in community life, something that's creating some of the regional market variations I'm going to discuss next. Millennials and first-time homebuyers are active but facing serious affordability challenges. They're typically looking at condos, smaller single-family homes, or properties in affordable communities like Lewiston, Auburn, Biddeford, or Westbrook. Here's a sobering fact. Household income of over $100,000 is now required to afford the median home in Maine comfortably. This is creating significant barriers to entry for many local buyers, especially younger ones who haven't had time to build up savings for down payments. We're seeing a two-tiered housing market develop. Those who bought before 2020 with low mortgage rates often staying put, and newcomers or first-time homebuyers facing higher prices and rates. This dynamic is reshaping neighborhoods and creating both challenges and opportunities depending on where you're looking. If you're a first-time buyer, there's a specific strategy I've seen work successfully that goes against conventional wisdom. Instead of focusing solely on price, my most successful first-time homebuyer clients are prioritizing locations with strong appreciation potential. Even if it means buying a smaller property, they're essentially using their first-time home as a stepping stone to build equity faster, which allows them to move up to a larger home in 3 to 5 years. What's fascinating is how these different buyer types are gravitating to completely different parts of Maine. Remote workers particularly are drawn to the mid-coast and greater Portland, while retirees are exploring a wider range of locations, including some inland communities that offer better values. First-time buyers are increasingly looking at revitalizing urban areas like parts of Lewiston and Biddeford, where prices are much more accessible. Now, let's dive into these regional differences because they're creating some incredible opportunities if you know where to look. Portland remains super strong and has very high market demand, particularly in the East End, which has been the hottest area in recent years. The peninsula continues to attract buyers who want great walkability and urban amenities, while South Portland offers slightly better value while still providing easy access to everything Portland has to offer. Well-maintained homes in desirable neighborhoods are selling quickly, often with multiple offers. But property that need a little bit of work or significant work or are overpriced are sitting much longer than they would have just 2 years ago. Buyers are becoming more selective and less willing to take on major projects at a premium price, which is part of the market stabilization I mentioned earlier, where buyers are finally gaining some power after years of seller domination. Lewiston and Auburn is seeing strong price appreciation due to its relative affordability compared to Portland. Buyers are finding significantly more value there, particularly in neighborhoods that are undergoing revitalization. The median home price in Lewiston and Auburn is under mid-$300,000, making it accessible to many first-time homebuyers who simply can't afford greater Portland prices. The Mid-Coast is fascinating. Rockland and Camden have completely different dynamics. Camden sees high list prices but often lower final sale prices, while Rockland shows moderate, consistent increases. In Camden, many sellers are still pricing based on the peak of the market, but buyers are becoming more hesitant to pay those premium prices. Meanwhile, Rockland continues to offer the sweet spot of affordability, amenities, and coastal access that's attracting a steady stream of buyers. And its market exemplifies the kind of value opportunity that factors into my #1 recommendation at the end of this video. Days on market now varies widely across Maine. In Portland, well-priced homes are still moving quickly, selling in a median of 7 days this spring. However, the overall median days on market in Portland for single families has climbed to 25, up sharply from just 6 days last year. As buyers become more selective and inventory rises statewide, the median days on market has reached 22 days in March 2025, a 47% increase from last year, a big jump from the historic low of 9 days seen in 2022. If you're looking for value without sacrificing amenities, there's one area that has been consistently overlooked but offers incredible lifestyle opportunities. The Saco-Biddeford area has seen a significant revitalization in recent years, but still offers homes 15 to 20% below comparable properties in Greater Portland. The downtown areas have excellent restaurants, cultural amenities, and beautiful beaches nearby, yet many buyers overlook these communities in favor of more well-known areas. These amazing regional variations aren't happening by accident. There are actually some major policy changes that are reshaping our entire real estate landscape. Let me walk you through them. LD 2003, passed in 2022, is reducing land use and regulatory barriers to housing production. The law requires municipalities to allow more housing density, which is already changing development patterns. For example, it allows you to build up to 4 units on lots previously zoned exclusively for single-family homes if they're in designated growth areas. This is potentially opening up significant opportunities for small-scale development and creating more housing options in desirable neighborhoods, addressing the restrictive zoning barrier I mentioned earlier that's been slowing construction. The Housing Opportunity Program, launched in 2023, is supporting local efforts to expand the housing supply with financial and technical assistance. This program is providing grants to communities that update their zoning and land use regulations to promote housing development. Communities that participate can receive substantial funding to support infrastructure improvements necessary for new housing. In 2024, Maine launched the new Housing Data Portal, which provides real-time tracking of housing trends and needs, a valuable resource for anyone in the market. The portal allows you to see detailed information about housing production, affordability metrics, and demographic trends in specific communities. It's an incredible tool for buyers, sellers, and investors to make data-driven decisions. Maine Housing released its first annual Housing Outlook report in February 2025, summarizing affordability, production, homeownership, and future trends. This comprehensive report provides detailed predictions for housing demand and supply across different regions of the state, helping to identify both challenges and opportunities in the market. Despite these positive steps, Maine's housing analysis suggests the affordability crisis will persist until we dramatically accelerate building. Their projections indicate that even with the current acceleration in construction, we're likely to meet only about 60% of our housing needs by 2030. This ongoing shortage will continue to put upward pressure on prices in the most desirable areas, something that I think is a major factor in why I don't expect prices to drop significantly. The new density allowances are creating substantial opportunities for property owners in zones previously limited to single-family homes. If you own a larger lot in a desirable area, you may now have the ability to create additional housing units, potentially increasing your property's value substantially. So what does this all mean for you? Well, let me break it down for you and give you some advice if you're a new investor. My number one recommendation: don't wait for a significant price drop. It's unlikely to happen given our shortage. Instead, focus on finding value within our evolving market by expanding your search parameters and understanding the regional differences. The buyers who succeed in today's market are the ones who are staying flexible and recognize opportunities that others might overlook. For sellers, this stabilizing market means that the pricing strategy is more important than ever. The days of listing high and expecting multiple offers are over. They're largely behind us. Working with an agent who understands your specific micro market can help you price competitively from the start, and that's crucial. Listen, I spend every day exploring these neighborhoods, touring properties, and helping people just like you find amazing opportunities that others miss. All you have to do is send me an email down in the description and we can set up a time to chat. But if all of these 3 cities I mentioned earlier, Portland is the one that caught your attention, absolutely you need to check out my video, 10 things you should know about living in Portland, Maine. I break down everything from our incredible food scene, seriously, it's amazing, to what winter's really like here. Yes, it's real, but we handle it beautifully, and much more. I've linked it right here on screen and in the description down below. Trust me, it's 15 minutes that will save you countless hours of research.